Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast. Play Tom Cruise Crazy on Amazon Music.
Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton on Amazon Music.
See? It went and played it anyway. Play Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton.
Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton from Spotify.
Spotify, see? Ah, that's not the song. Hello, welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you all here with us. As you can hear from our prelude today, we're going to be delving back into music this week. Again, after last week's episode where we looked at some of the price hikes and other options that you have for listening to music on your Amazon Echo. We talked about Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, of course, the various different Amazon packages, including Amazon Unlimited Music and Amazon Prime Music. We talked about several of those. Now, some of the reasons I had that episode last week, and by all means go back and check it out, is because I delved deep into this rabbit hole that we're going to discuss today, and that is explicit content filtering on your Amazon Echo in connection with music services. I ran into some disappointing features, but also some providers that provide better features than Amazon does. And actually, some of the disappointments are really kind of staggering that these things aren't in there. And so at the tail end of the episode, I'll mention some ways that you could even reach out to Amazon or encourage them to add these features so that maybe you parents, you grandparents, those of you like maybe me who have an Amazon Echo in a classroom environment, in a work environment, you can make sure that certain types of content do not play, are blocked, or whatever the case may be, or you just don't want to hear that stuff yourself. And so we're going to talk about some of that today, and we're going to talk about some of the features that are available with some services and some of the things that are not available and really should be, and would be simple enough to implement. But before we get into that too much, I'd like to welcome our new listeners. Welcome to the podcast, y'all. I am your host, David Ward. I'm an assistive and a technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, based here in Southwest Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's right, right here in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And so it's good to have you all with us. And for our returning listeners, we'd like to welcome you back as well. And because of both of you, we are well over, I believe, 115,000 listens the past 5 seasons of the podcast. And now we're in our 6th season. So it's great to have you all with us. So before we get deep into the weeds with these feature sets or lack of features, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we will be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again and welcome back to the podcast. It's good to have you all with us. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about Amazon Music services, especially related to explicit content filtering, whether you be a parent, a grandparent, or the like, and you're just wanting to block certain types of content playing on your Echo itself. We're going to talk about that. So let me delve in real quick and give you kind of a demo that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I discovered, and then I'll go backtrack and tell you how I came across this. So if you have an echo in hearing distance of me, by all means, please shut its ears off. Now, by all means, we're not going to play any NSFW or inappropriate content. I'm just going to demonstrate a particular music album, and then can we block it or not block it to give you an idea of what's going on exactly. And so just give you a second to do that. And now we'll press on. So on my Echo at present, I have Spotify set as the default. We'll learn why that is here in a little bit. But first off, that means that I will have to specifically state the service I want to play other than that. So in this case, it's going to be Amazon Music, because that's where I really found the fault lies. Although none of these seem to be perfect, they could all improve a lot. So I'm going to take an album or a song from Jonathan Coulton as an example, and just to give you guys an idea for how this works, or more importantly, does not work. Okay? So, Alexa, play Tom Cruise Crazy on Amazon Music.
Here's Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton on Amazon Music.
Okay, so this is Tom Cruise Crazy, typical song. Okay, I'm going to turn it a little bit down. Okay, so let's say I wanted to never hear this again. Now, typically, this is the only command you got on your Amazon Music service. You would say, Alexa, don't play this anymore.
All right, here's one you might like instead.
Or I say, don't like this,
jazz.
one or the other. Okay, so immediately it skips it and rotates to something else it thinks you would like. I've been listening a lot of jazz lately, so that's what it's playing. Alexa, stop. Okay, so then I stopped it. Now, by thumbsing it down or saying I don't like or skip, well, no, skip wouldn't work, but you'd say you don't like, it earmarks it in such a way so that if I go back and say play my favorite music, it will never play that. If I go back and say play Jonathan Coulton, it will never play that particular song by Jonathan Coulton. But notice this, Alexa, play Tom Cruise Crazy on Amazon Music.
Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton on Amazon Music.
See? It went and played it anyway, even though I just thumbed it down. Alexa, stop. Now, that in itself isn't like totally unsurprising, because the thumbs up, thumbs down, or like, dislike is more algorithmic based generally. I can't fault them for that entirely, because I understand where they're coming from. You're more or less wanting to educate the system on what you like or don't like. But let's contrast this with a different implementation or feature that's available on Spotify. Let's use the exact same song. Alexa, play Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton.
Tom Cruise Crazy by Jonathan Coulton from Spotify.
Spotify, see? Ah, that's not the song. Alexa, what are you playing?
This is the Kitten song by Stephen Wright.
Alexa, stop. So what did we learn right there? It did not play Jonathan Coulton's song. Furthermore, it didn't play any Jonathan Coulton. Why? Because Spotify gives me a feature, Amazon doesn't. I was able to block that artist, go in, even though I like Jonathan Coulton, this was just an example. I was able to go in on the app, say, do not play this artist, and it will not play it anymore. Even if I go over to my Echo and I say a specific song, a specific album, or I say just play that artist, Jonathan Coulton, it will not play Jonathan Coulton. It will go and play something maybe of a similar genre or something similar to him, but it will not play because I explicitly said, do not play it. So how did all this come about? Let's go delve back into the history of Dave's awkward jumping down the rabbit hole and figuring this out. Well, a few weeks ago, I played something on my Echo, and it might not have been the first time, but I think it was the first time it kind of clicked in my brain. And, you know, I've had Amazon Music all the way back almost to the very beginning, Amazon Unlimited Music in particular. And I tried to say something, and it played something completely off the wall. that was NSFW, if you will. It was adult style content. And there is adult style content on Amazon Music. And in this particular case, it was not marked in any way, shape, or form as explicit, because I checked, had the explicit content filter on, as I always do. Did not stop it. It played it. All right. So, and I went and checked. So then I said, okay, well, Dave, it's no big deal, right? I just go into the app and I'll just say, don't play this album anymore, or block it, or thumbs up. I tried. None of that works, right? Because if I come back and say something similar to it, or thinks I said that word or something like that, it can pop up. Or worse yet, I have an echo like I do in my classroom environment, or you parents who have kids or whatever who are trying to maybe get it to play something inappropriate. It will play it back. There was no mechanism for blocking it inside the Amazon Echo in the A-Lady app. There was nothing you could do, or in the Amazon Music app. There was no mechanism. All you had is this explicit content filter option, and I went in there thinking, there's got to be a way I can customize this. No, there is nothing. There is an on and an off switch, and this vanilla description of it blocking explicit content, which I think probably means it only really blocks albums that are when the artist submits the album to the store, marks as explicit content. But there's a whole bunch of content out there. Of different genres. Some of it you can kind of understand, like it snuck through. Like, let me give you an example. In the past, we've talked in this podcast about using jingles of different varieties, using albums on Amazon Music that are made for sound effects in movies and TV shows. So like a roaring lion, or a shaking pill bottle to remind you of medicine, or an ambulance siren, or whatever, right? And you could use those, but some of those albums will have, somewhere between the roaring lion and the atomic bomb sound, will have some explicit NSFW style content in there. Now that I kind of understand, the whole album hasn't been marked, but we cannot block using Amazon Unlimited Music or Amazon Prime Music. But apparently, at this page where I was testing this, could not block the song, could not block the album, could not block the artist. While we just saw in Spotify, I did have that capability, at least of blocking the artist. So then I said to myself, maybe you're getting worked up over nothing. It's kind of frustrating, I understand, but you are an adult. This is a paid service. You had a credit card. I mean, you turned the explicit filter on. So, I mean, it's obviously going to block certain albums that people submit and earmark that way. I mean, there's some stuff up there that's not marked appropriately. But, maybe it's just because you're in an adult account. If I'd set this to a kid's account, maybe it would be different. So that took me down a whole route, parents, of turning on Amazon Kids. And then there's also a paid-for service, Amazon Kids Plus. Now, I didn't delve into the Plus too much, although we have in past episodes, but nothing led me to believe that there's any kind of special magic sauce in the Plus variety that wasn't in the Kids variety as far as this filtering mechanism. So I went in and I set up this Echo, and I set it as, this is on Little Johnny, right? My fictitious son, Little Johnny's account, and this Echo, and I even, in there, you have a content option. How old is Little Johnny? He can listen to stuff between 6 to 8 years old, or 9 to 12. I'm not sure I'm getting the years right, but it had age ranges, right? So I tried several of those. And each time, and of course, obviously, is the kids' account, so the explicit filter is on by default. I went in and asked for this content, an NSW thing that had bypassed my other explicit filter, and boom, it was playing.
Dang.
Now that's just disappointing. And there was no clear way to block. There was no way. And now the irony of Little Johnny's account is you can go into the parental console and you can see, approve these audiobooks for Little Johnny to listen to, approve these skills or games for Little Johnny to play. You have a whole list of things you can approve, but music, Amazon Music is not one of them. You can't say block all Amazon Music Or, I mean, if they had flagged certain types of music content as age appropriate for 6 to 8 years old, why does it just not play only 6 to 8-year-old music? And when I say anything that's outside of the genre, whether it's marked as explicit or not, just not play it. That could eliminate the problem as well. So there's a whole range of things here that Amazon is not doing that could be really easy to do. Like with the explicit content filter, I mean, you could put in there what programmers and computer ninjas call a regular expression. Or I could just say keywords. If the song contains these words, or the artist contains these words, or the album contains these words, do not play this song. Now, what's even more mind-blowing about this is Amazon has a list of an incredible amount of the lyrics for a lot of songs. So they could even have a pattern matching where I say, if these 20 foul language words, I'm just taking this to a different level, had any of these 20 cuss words are in the song, just skip the song. You parents, that would be amazing. Amazing. Doesn't exist. Not in there. Not in there at all. Even though it's be such a rudimentary kind of seemingly juvenile feature to have in there, a juvenile, ironically, a kind of pun here, but it doesn't exist. It's not in there. While Spotify has at least this rudimentary blocking feature. Now, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Now, it's not perfect for a number of reasons. One is Spotify only allows me to block by artist name. So I went into Jonathan Colton and said, do not play Jonathan Colton anymore. Now, Jonathan Colton had another artist name listed as Jonathan Colton and Peggy Sue or Jonathan Colton Band or something. I would have to block each one of those separately. And then in turn, it would block all the albums associated with that artist, which I think is pretty feasible. And for my cases would work, I think, 90% of the time, 99.9%. Honestly, it works pretty good. But they don't give you the ability to block an album, or block by album, I should say, or block by or song. So you don't have that functionality. You pretty much have to block the entire artist. So that's kind of interesting. You might like that versatility, especially if it's like a sound effects album. You want to block anything with these words in it. But I want to be able to hear the atomic bomb blast when I need to wake up in the morning, or I want to hear the hooting owl or the lion roaring, but there's this category I don't want to play on there, so you don't have that versatility. All you got is straight up block by artist. And then of course the generic, explicit content filter, which who knows if it works a little bit better or not a little better. It's probably all based on their database, and Apple maintains a separate explicit content stuff, and you can even go in and look and see next to the album, and at least on Apple, it'll have a little E beside it if it's explicit content marked. So I do give my hat off to Amazon in that their explicit content filter, it will pass that notification to any music service you're listening to, but it's a little woefully inadequate because there's certain content that just hasn't been properly marked. And looking at some of the parental websites, there's some things I didn't even think of, like what about album covers and pictures? Like if you're on an Amazon Echo show, the song may not be explicit, but they could have like an explicit photo on the album. So that's an interesting thing as well. I would have never thought of that. And some services, I believe Apple might have been one of them, you could toggle off album pictures and stuff. So something that I feel like some more thought should really be put into this. And the fact that I have something that pops up that I never want to hear again, and I can't go in as a paying customer and block it. This is something as simple as just say, never play this song again, or never play this album or artist again, seems ridiculous. And definitely needs to be remedied. Now, here's where we'll take it up a notch, guys. This is going to probably frustrate you. What about, I've switched over to Spotify. I'm kind of happy with that. But here's the problem. You noticed before I played Tom Cruise Crazy on Amazon Music. That just wasn't for demo purposes. I can't turn it off. Even though I've unsubscribed from Amazon Unlimited Music, I am still a Prime member because I would get Prime shipping for a lot of the stuff I send to the house. And so, or for their videos and other services that are connected with Prime. Well, now it's the loophole in my Amazon Echo because I can't shut it off because I get Amazon Prime Music on there. I went and asked Amazon help on Twitter. Specifically, I said, listen, I want to use Spotify because it allows me to block content. You guys have no mechanism to really allow me to do that. Can I turn off Amazon Prime Music? No, you can't. Pretty much is what they said. The best I got, and I admittedly, the customer service rep was trying to be helpful, but I think it feels almost more obnoxious than anything else, said, well, you could always deregister your Echo from your Amazon account and then basically put it on somebody other account that's not connected to your Prime account. So in other words, start all over again and set up everything again. But all you guys need to do is have a switch or a toggle or give me explicit content filtering keywords that would allow me to block this junk so that nobody in the classroom or nobody anywhere, it's never going to come up. And it just doesn't exist. So a little disappointing. I did ask how could feature requests be made. They did say they were going to escalate my suggestion to some of the appropriate people, but they said on the Amazon forum you could submit a recommendation. So I did create a bit.ly link for any of you listeners who want to go on there and say, hey, I'd like to see these features added to Amazon Music, namely the ability to block by artist, album, or song, or give me some more power with the explicit content filter. If you'd like to submit your feedback on that, I created a bit.ly link so you could go on your computer and go to the website bit.ly/ that's a / that's the one slanting to the right at the top. And then it's Amazon with a capital A, Music with a capital M, Fail with a capital F. Capital F, fail. All right, so that's bit.ly/ Amazon Music Fail. And the Amazon Music and Fail are all begin with a capital letter. So by all means, go and do that. You can also, of course, reach out to Amazon on Twitter and say, hey, I have a feature request. I'd really like to see blocking, custom blocking options, especially as a parent. Or you may even mention that you'd like to see some sort of whitelisting or approved list might be the more modern term. We don't use the terms blacklist and whitelist, I think, quite as much anymore. An approved list or a blocked list. So an approved list would be that maybe like on Little Johnny, he can play all of these genre. You could put 20, 30, 40, 50 different albums on there, but he can't play anything other than those. So that would be an approved list. Or you think of a work environment, maybe you put on 50 different instrumental albums, but the Echo can't play anything other than those at work or the classroom environment. So that you could see where maybe that kind of approved list versus a blacklist, or a blocked list would work better. So either way, you could put out those suggestions to Amazon. Another thing you can do is you can submit feedback right on your Echo. So you could do that this way. You could say, Alexa, give feedback.
Sure. Tell me what's on your mind.
I would like the ability to block music by song, artist, or album on Amazon Music Unlimited, please.
Thanks for telling me.
There you go. It's that simple, and you can give your feedback. If you have any other thoughts or suggestions on future episodes, something you'd like to hear, by all means, reach out to me at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys on Facebook or Twitter, or you can even email us at info@goodwillvalleys.com. And just in the subject line, just put something about the Echo Tips podcast or Dave with New Vision, and it will find its way to me. So anyway, I hope you found this beneficial, although maybe frustrating like me. But certainly we've learned a lot, and hopefully we'll see some new features here in the future that will give us a little more control and power over these kind of tools and situations. They are so amazing that we can just walk up and play all these different music and genres. But it would be nice to have a little more control, especially with a family or a public environment. All right, well, it's time to turn on your Echo's ears, start practicing some of the many, many things you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we do thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem, ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew! Thanks for listening.